In this video, we're going to be looking at the basics of using a Nix command line. And by Nix, it means Linux, the Mac OS X operating system, or if you're on Windows, if you're using something like a Linux emulator like Cygwin or something like that. We're just going to be looking at some really basic stuff to figure out sort of where you are and how to move around a little bit from the command line. Real quickly, the first thing that I want to point out here is the command line itself. We've got a machine, a directory, and a user. The add1sun is the name of my computer. After the colon, there's a tilde, or what I like to call the squiggly line, and that's a special symbol on the command line which stands for the home directory, so that's telling me I'm in my home directory. And then addy is my actual username on this particular machine. So that's just my prompt that gives me a little bit of orientation, and you'll have different prompts on different machines. Now, the first thing I want to do is type in pwd, so that is print working directory, and basically what that's doing is telling me where I am. So this is saying that I'm actually in users addy, and that is my home directory. So that tilde is equivalent to /users/addy on this machine. And that's a good thing to know, just to orient yourself and know where you are in terms of your file structure. So pwd, really handy if you're sort of confused about where you are on your machine. That'll tell you exactly where you are. Now, when we want to actually see stuff, we're going to use the ls command, and ls is for listing things, right? And so here is a list of the stuff that is in my home directory. And you can see we've just got I basically have a whole bunch of folders in here to organize stuff. Now, if I want to see a little more detail on this, what I could do is ls-al. I think of it as ls-all. And when we do that, what that's going to do is give me more information about everything that's in here. Now, we're not going to get into everything that is on this screen here. I just want to point out a couple of just interesting things that we should look at that you're getting on this that you don't get in just a regular ls that can come in handy. The first thing is that you'll notice that some of these have a D at the beginning all the way to the left, and that means that they're a directory, so that's a folder, as compared to just a plain dash, and that's for files. So the default is just a file. We also have an L on this particular one, which is a link. That's a little more advanced stuff, and we'll be covering that in a later video, along with some more of this extra info that we have on this particular listing. The one other thing I wanted to point out real quickly here is we have the listing of our folders like we saw in the regular ls. There, you notice we also have a bunch of other stuff up here that has this dot at the beginning of the name. So, and this can be for files and folders. And basically, in the Nix world, if there's a dot at the beginning, then that means that it's hidden. So it's typically not going to show up as sort of extra cruft while you're looking around, browsing around on your site. So if you want to get, if you know you have something that's actually hidden, or you think something should be there and not, if you do the ls-al, then you'll see all the hidden stuff as well. And that way you can actually find what you're looking for. So now that we've got that down, let's actually talk about moving around. I'm going to do the cd command, which is for changing my directory. I can just type in the directory name of where I want to go. So if I want to go to downloads, I can just type that in. There's another handy thing though that you can do, which is called tab completion. So instead of typing everything in, I can just type the first letter, or as much as I can, and then hit tab, and it will auto-complete for me. Now, if I do that with this capital D though, the first time I do it, my computer is just boinking at me. It's not actually completing. If I hit tab again though, what it does is it gives me a list of everything that's beginning with capital D. It didn't autocomplete at first because there's more than one thing here that begins with a capital D. It is case sensitive, so this is something to keep in mind. You'll notice in our listing up here, we actually have a folder for Drupal, which also begins with D, but it's a lowercase d. So this is a case sensitive thing. It's only looking for capital D directories. So what I need to do is type enough letters in that it would know. So a small d gives me Drupal because there's only one, but a capital D, I need to actually do DOW to get to downloads, because I also have documents with DO. So, but once I type enough letters and hit tab, then it knows what I want. And now I'm in my downloads directory. You can see that we've switched here because my prompt is actually telling me what directory I'm in. I can also do a pwd and actually verify where I am. I'm going to do an ls here real quickly so we can see. I've gone into downloads, what's in here. You'll see I'm brought down to the end of the list of everything that's in here. And I can, if I go over here and I can scroll up, and you can see there's actually quite a lot of stuff that's in here, and it's made a nice long list here. Now, if I want to actually be able to sort of parse through this a little in a more organized manner, there's another command that we can look at here, and what we can do is do what's called piping, and that is where I take one command, pass it through a pipe to another. So I'm going to do my ls, and then I'm going to put the pipe symbol, which is if you do shift backslash, then that gives you a pipe symbol. So I will pass through this pipe. So ls is going to get passed through to a command called less, just less. And the less command is great because it basically chunks things up into pages. So when I do it that way, what I'm doing is getting the first page, and then you'll notice down here we have a colon and a little prompt, and that's letting me know I'm on the first page. I can keep going. If I hit the space bar on my keyboard, it goes to the next page, and I can continue to page through this really long list. And then when I'm done, I can just hit Q, the letter Q on my keyboard, and that will quit me out of the less, and I'm done. So we've got some basic commands down, but now I've been able to move into a directory and see what's in the directory, but how do I actually move back up? I've gone down into downloads, but now I want to go back up to where I was before. And I can do cd ... rather than having to remember the name of the directory above me. If I just do ... that says move back one, and that takes me back to my home directory. Alright, so let's look at moving around a little bit more here. So I'm back to my home directory, so let's go ahead and actually go somewhere else. I'm going to cd into the Drupal directory with the small d, and once I get in there, I can do an ls, just sort of see what's next, and then let's go into the docs directory here. So I'm going to do a cd docs and just keep moving down. And now I can do a pwd and see the path of where I am. And I just sort of always do an ls, just sort of obsessively, just to see what's there. But what I really want to talk about here is the fact that I've gone down several directories and I want to go back up several directories in terms of moving around. So if we look at that pwd, so we can see I'm 2 levels down from home. And so if I do cd ... and then put a slash and ... say so one directory / next directory, then that will take me back up the 2 steps to get back up there. This is cool when you have, like, you know, just 1 or 2 levels, but remembering how many ... to put in and slashes to go traverse back up can be harrowing at times. So there are other ways that you can get back to the home directory in particular. It's that special key that we have. So remember, we have the tilde. So I can just say I want to cd to tilde, and that means take me back to my home directory immediately without having to type all kinds of other crazy stuff in there. And then another thing that we can do is actually just type in the full absolute path to my home directory. So right, the home directory is /users/addy. / is like the root, that's like start all the way at the beginning of the paths. Or I can also, for this, I can also just type cd with absolutely nothing after it, and it assumes I want to go home. So when I do that, you can see in my prompt again that I'm back at my home directory because I have that little tilde showing up for the directory that I'm in. So now let's actually go back down in. I know I want to go here, and as you can see, I can keep typing the full path. I don't have to go one at a time. And I've gone down into the roadmap directory. So this time I went 3 levels down in here. And again, obsessively LSing, so I can just sort of see what is in here, what directory am I in. But again, we're going to keep playing around with a little bit with moving. So let's say I didn't mean to actually come into the roadmap directory, but what I really meant to do was I wanted to go to the meetings directory. So what I can do is say dot dot, I want to go back up one and then down on the other side into the meetings folder. And so that's a way that I can sort of hop over to the next one. I can go over to siblings that way. And that puts me in our meeting directory. So a lot of the stuff we've been looking at is moving around relative to where I am now. And I did mention that that slash for the slash users ADDI, if I wanted to go back to my home directory, had something to do with absolute. Let's just talk about that real quickly here for a second. I've been moving relatively. But what I want to also show is you can actually start from the very root of your file system and type an entire path in and move that way. Instead of moving from the home directory, let's say I actually wanted to go above where my home directory is, and I wanted to go to my applications folder on a Mac, which is up at the root level. So I would type a slash at the beginning and then applications, and that would take me all the way up. So when I do this PWD, you can see I'm not in my home directory at all anymore. I've moved up out of it because I went all the way back to the root and started from there. You can also change directory to your root just with a slash. That's what just a plain slash on the next line means. Is I just want to go to root. And when I go here and I do a listing, this is all the stuff that is the root of my file structure on my system. I just happen to spend most of my time in my home directory, which is under root, users, and then ADDI. So if I do a CD again and go back to home, you can see here's my users ADDI in relation to that root, that slash directory. So just something to be aware of because it's definitely a useful distinction that you'll need to know when trying to type in paths and move around on your system. Okay, so we've done lots of moving around. Good stuff. Get comfortable with it. I want to do one more command, which is for getting help, which is the man command, which stands for manual. And you can do that with any command. So man for PWD. And you'll see that the output, when you get that screen, it's got this colon, and that's that less. So it automatically does less. You don't have to pipe it yourself. And so if I hit the space bar, it will page through. And if I hit Q, it will quit out of the man page. You can do this on any command. So I can man, and find out all about the man command itself. So it's really handy, built into all the Nix command line systems, and you can get all those details of what this command is doing and looking for. And then one last quick little command for you, which can be handy at times, is if you just type clear, you'll clear your entire screen and make it all nice and tidy. So that's the end of this video with some basic commands just to get you started. Next video we'll be getting into more stuff in terms of actually dealing with files and things like that. But hopefully this gives a little bit of an orientation so you can start to make your way around your file system from the command line.